Hi, I'm Nicole Kemper. I'm a writer, filmmaker, and actor living in Atlanta, Georgia. This is 50 Foot Woman, and I have committed to shooting at least one roll of Super 8 film per month. I've been shooting a lot of color film, a lot of color negative film to be specific. And this month I decided that I wanted to shoot some black and white. So I purchased some black and white negative 200 speed film from Pro 8mm, and I decided to take it with me on a little trip to Macon, Georgia. Macon is about 2 hours from where I live. I had a film in the Macon Film Festival, and so I traveled down to Macon to meet up with my dear friend, Julie. Julie and I have known each other for about 13 years. We actually met at the Macon Film Festival 13 years ago. I had a short film in the festival, and she stuck around afterwards, and we talked, and now we've had this really beautiful friendship where we have kids, and our lives are really crazy and busy, but we try to get together whenever we can. Julie's an amazing photographer, and she has shot a bunch of promotional photos for me and for various comedy groups that I've been involved with. I'm going to put a link to her information in down below in the comments, and I hope that you will check out her work. She's really incredible, and hopefully one day I will have a fraction of the skills and artistry that she brings to her photos. We stayed in this really adorable B&B. It was like an old mansion that was converted into a B&B, and we made a whole weekend out of it. So we went to the festival, we saw a lot of films, and I brought my trusty Bell and Howell 431 with me. I brought this particular camera with me because I knew that I wanted something that would be easy to travel with. We were going to be walking to and from downtown Macon, and so I had a backpack with me, and I wanted to be light and easy and on the go. And this camera, while being very solid and well made, is considerably light and easy to work with. So I brought that with me just for the sake of, convenience and for it being the right tool for the right situation, which I think is half the battle, picking the right tool for the right situation. So while I've been dabbling with some black and white still photography for a while now, this was actually my first time shooting black and white Super 8 film. I had worked with a little bit of black and white in grad school, shooting on a Bolex, but it's been a really long time, and I tend to go for color film. And so shooting on this black and white film stock was new to me, and it made me think about the images that I was composing in a very different way, which I think is really helpful, and I think a strong argument for why, if you're just new to motion picture film, shooting on black and white can kind of help you improve some of your visual aesthetics. So what do I mean by that specifically? I think that when I'm shooting something, I'm very conscious of the colors of what's in the frame. And when you're shooting in black and white, obviously color is not a factor. And so it made me think a lot more about the light and dark areas and contrast in the frame. It made me think a lot more about light and how light was affecting the image. And it also made me, I think a little bit more about composition and movement in the camera. And this could also just be like a part of my development in general as a person shooting a roll of Super 8 film every month. So that could just be kind of part of that journey. But it really did make me think more about these things in a way that I think sometimes like I go to the colors and what's eye-catching in the frame first. And so it really did make me think a little bit differently. So I think that was a really good thing. Okay, so let's take a look at the footage. This was purchased from, developed and scanned by Pro 8mm. I'm always very happy with their work. This time I decided to do a little bit more of a high quality scan, and I opted for the log files this time. And I think even the ungraded stuff looks really nice. And so let's take a look. So we were in downtown Macon, so I was filming a little bit. I was really going quickly at times because we were on the move. And so I'd say that my biggest struggle with some of this footage is that not all of it is completely in focus. I did try like, a little bit of like filming out the window from a car. I don't know how I feel about that, although I think it does have some nice movement. I think I was doing a lot of experimenting with panning, trying to get a little bit more movement in the camera, and which is not a bad thing, but I think maybe maybe a little bit too much, and I probably need to go a little bit slower. I was also trying to play around with the zoom a little bit. I think that at least I'm gonna pause this for a second. I think that I'm struggling a lot with using the zoom, not just on this camera, but I had similar problems in the Canon 1014 where I think I would zoom in and focus on something and then zoom back out again and assume that it would stay in focus. But it seems like doing that is not really enough, or I'm not really sure. So I think I just need to be more meticulous about maybe zooming out and then zooming in and testing the focus first, or I don't know. I know people get a little persnickety about using a lot of zooms with these Super 8 cameras, but to me, it's like, why not? I mean, that is kind of part of the aesthetic. And I've seen I've seen zooms be used in a really interesting way in some older films from the 1970s. I'm thinking about some of William Friedkin's work, who is a filmmaker that I really like his work a lot. He died recently, so I got a bit back into a William Friedkin phase. And I was noticing, I think because of this, how often zooms are being used in some of his earlier work. And yeah, that's a 70s aesthetic. And I guess we could say like, it's not modern and we should get away from it. But I don't know. I think it's kind of fun. And I mean, do what you want to do. So I think that I would like to try to figure out what I'm doing wrong and maybe see if I can do better, because I think some zooms are really fun and I'd like to be able to do it without making all the footage like super blurry. Okay, so Julie knew all the cool spots in town to photograph things, obviously, as she's a photographer. So she took us to this really old church, and I think because of this lens and the sort of the limitations with it, it was really hard to get the whole thing in. There's some beautiful shots of my friend Julie. She's just gorgeous. The camera loves her. And she just, and so I was really trying to do a little bit of movement here. That zooming out seems okay. It's zooming in that I seem like I'm having a problem with. Okay, so we did a little bit of, so I've just shot a little bit in downtown Macon with Julie and I just kind of walking around. I think I'm starting to, let me pause here. I think in composition wise, I think I'm starting to see in my photographs, but also in shooting motion picture film, I think I like lines that are I like lines that have some depth and some shape. And I do think I like a bit of a symmetrical composition in some ways. I don't know if that's the most interesting point of view as an artist, but it certainly works for Wes Anderson. Okay, so Julie took me to a very old cemetery, and so we walked around there for a while. She said it was a great place to take photos, so we brought the Super 8 camera, and so I got just a little footage of us walking around the cemetery. As far as this stock goes, like I said, I feel like working with black and white, I like this composition here where we had some leaves in the foreground and some of the sort of the tombstones and stuff in the background. Again, panning, something that I'm still kind of working on. Not a whole lot of grain. It's 200 speed film, so it's not as fine a grain as say like a 50D or something. But I do like, in terms of the amount of grain, I think it gives it a really nice texture. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like when I bring it into DaVinci. I am gonna do some color grading on this, just in the sense that I'd like to see like what can we do in terms of increasing some of the contrast and a little bit of the dynamic range. So overall, I really like what came back. I think I've still got some technical things that I need to learn in terms of operating the camera. I think that I'd like to shoot more black and white film so that I can really force myself to think a little bit more about light. And I think that would be a good lesson for me. The graveyard stuff, you know, it's like, I mean, come on, it's so classic to take your film camera out to a graveyard, but it does kind of give me this sort of like low budget George Romero kind of vibe. And so I definitely like the aesthetic that goes along with that black and white footage. And I think I'd like to explore it a little bit more deeply. I think black and white footage has a lot to teach me. Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, or if you've been coming along with me on this journey, thank you for being here. And if this is your first time watching, I've actually got other videos and I've other mistakes that I've made if you'd like to check that out. I've also got a blog on Substack where I share more of my still photography. So if you are interested in more of this, I've got a link to the Substack below. I've also linked some of Julie's work if you'd like to check out her amazing photography. Come back next week and we'll take a look at what we can do with this footage in color grading. I'm going to try to play around with the contrast and the dynamic range, and we'll see what happens. Till then, grab a friend, grab your Super 8 camera, and let's shoot some more film, you guys.